Hello everybody. In this video I am going to talk about some things that you can expect to experience when you travel to any new country, anywhere in the world, or actually any culture. I don't think it matters. It can be even from one part of the country to another. But basically, when you leave your home, your comfortable, warm, loving home, and go into any new environment. But in this case, I am going to talk about moving from country to country. So some people call it culture shock. I choose to call it the process of acculturation. Big word, I know, but basically what that means is the process through which you get familiar with another new environment. So, and like I said, that could be any new environment. Of course, nothing is set in stone. Some people can get used to a new environment very, very quickly. Some other people, it takes them a long, long time. And some people really have a really difficult time adjusting to changes. Personally, I am kind of in between. I'm easygoing. I can adjust pretty quickly when it comes to new places or new things. I have traveled, I've lived in many different places, so now I kind of have an idea about what to expect and what I might be experiencing after a short period of time. So I adjust quite easily now, and still sometimes it takes me back. Some of the reactions to new places takes me a little back. So the first thing that you will probably experience when you change any new environment is excitement. You're excited. It's the honeymoon phase. And when you go to a new place, the new food, the new people, the new language, all the things that you're going to learn, and you just are so full of energy. Or most people, you find yourself so excited, and this is great. And some people can stay in that space for a long time, and for some people it just lasts a second, and they wake up and they're like, oh my goodness, what happened? I am not in Kansas anymore, Toto. We're not in Kansas. So I would call that the first stage. It's the honeymoon stage. It's sweet, it's exciting. So, and then after that, you go into a stage of, I would say, shock. When you realize, oh my God, the faucet turns the other way, and I cannot even ask for basic food. I can not go to the store and ask, can I have that cookie, because I don't know how. I don't understand the money. Goodness, and everybody is looking at me strange. So you're kind of shocked, and it's kind of cold, and you're like, oh my goodness. And some people get a little depressed. Some people really depressed. Sometimes you find yourself really angry at everything new, and in your mind you keep thinking things like, in my country we don't do that. In my country people do this. Or if you're in another, let's say you're in another home, and you're like, well, in my house we do this. In my home we do this. My mother cooks like this. So that's kind of the shock stage, anger stage. But it's all normal. It's you just realizing, my goodness, I really have left home. I cannot sleep in my bed anymore, and this bed feels odd. The tatami is not comfortable anymore. It's not cute anymore, and I hate sleeping on the floor. So, these kinds of thoughts, and I just use that as an example. The tatami is great, and once you get used to it, your back straightens out really well. So anyway, so you get yourself in that stage, and you can call it shock. I guess that's where the culture shock comes in. And you realize that things are different, It's the total we're not in Kansas anymore phase. And when you're in that phase, just, call home, Skype to people, let people outside of the new culture, because let people outside of the new culture know that it's hard, you're having a really difficult time. Ask people to send you care packages, call you, send you love notes, whatever you need to do. Go watch a Western movie. Find a group of people that you can speak your own language with, whether that be English or whatever language is your language, or find another group of international people. They know what you're going through. Try as much as possible not to air out your anxiety to the local people, because they don't get it. You'll get questions like, then why are you here? Go back home if you don't like it here. Because they don't understand. They think, well, you chose to come and now you don't want to come. So very confusing. And that's normal. That's very normal. If you catch yourself in that phase, you can say, oh my goodness, I am now in the culture shock phase. And then after that, that could take a long time. This time around when I was traveling, it was last year, June, after about a year here in Taiwan. And I got really, really depressed and I had to get out. I thought, I've got to fly somewhere. And I did. So I took off, and then I regrouped and I came back, and then I was okay, and started accepting I chose to come to Taiwan. Everything is okay. I have friends. It's normal. It just means I'm not home. That's why I'm getting a little depressed. So, and you call that acceptance. So you slowly get into a stage where you're accepting your new surroundings. You start you don't quite go back to the highlight of the honeymoon phase where everything is coming up roses, the land of milk and honey. No, but it's a more contented space. So at this time, you know where to go hang out. You have a couple friends. You know where the mall is. You can go, or the movie theater. You want to go watch a movie. You know how to make yourself feel better. You know where the parks are. You know how to get on YouTube and YouTube other foreigners and see what kind of experience they're having. It's awesome. YouTube has everything you need, from the excitement of a new place to people like really totally pissed off in the area they are, and then they're like, no, I am loving this. So you can see all of that, and you're like, I am not by myself. So these are some skills you can use. And then after that, in acceptance, again, it depends on who you are. For some people it comes really quick. For some people they never get there, and some people it's somewhere in between. Learning, you find it when you're beginning to accept, you find it easier to absorb more of the language, more of the cultural norms, and more you find that you're not comparing too much. Like, in my country we do this, and in your country we do this. It's better in my country because we do this, and you find that now you're like, okay, this is what they do here. While I'm here, I'm gonna do that here. While in Rome, do as in Rome. But that's really easier said than done, especially when you're in the culture shock phase. You do not want anything to do with your new culture at that time. So, and then the final stage, and this takes a long time for many people, especially for adults. For kids, it's not that difficult, or most kids, I should say that. For many people, it's they take a long time to get the assimilation stage, and that's where you're almost like a local. You speak the language, you're comfortable with everything people do, and you know what your culture is, and you know what this new culture is, and you kind of go back and forth. In your home you are one way, when you're outside you are another way. When you're with your friends, the Western friends, you act one way. When you're with the local friends, you act another way. So not act like you are, know how to be another way. So you're assimilating. Everything is beginning to make sense, to blend in. And even if you look different, it's no longer a big issue, and you get really comfortable. It takes a while. It takes a while. And usually that happens when you can speak the language pretty well, and people don't always treat you like the foreigner, because for most cultures that at least I have been to, once you can speak the language, it's open doors. People feel comfortable with you. Of course they do, because now they can relate to you and you can relate to them. When you don't speak the language, the other people, they really don't know what to do. They can't communicate with you. You can't communicate with them. You're more or less like a guest, and they treat you like a guest for the most part. So it isn't that they're being not welcoming or they're being non-accepting. It's just that they don't know what to do with you and you don't know what to do with them. So you have kind of that awkwardness. So don't be too surprised. Don't be too surprised if you go in a culture and you feel like everybody is keeping you at arm's length, because they are. They don't know what to do. It's the equivalence of meeting new people, like new friends at work or at school, and it takes a while before y'all can have a slumber party. So it's the same thing in a new culture, and but some things make a huge difference in how you assimilate. A huge difference. And one of them is your attitude. I mean, just your naturalness. Like if you are an upbeat, outgoing, accepting person, you will find that being in the new culture and people embracing you will happen a lot quicker. Some personalities are like that. Some individuals are like that. But if you're the kind of person who is reserved and you tend to take your time around places, getting to know things, getting to know people, you will find that for the most part, people will also be the same with you, and you might feel lonely. You might feel the culture shock aspect a whole lot more than somebody who is outgoing or somebody who is more upbeat. So yes, and so attitude is huge. The other part is trying to learn the language. You do not have to be perfect, but everybody, no matter where you are in the world, they're touched when you try to learn something about them. It's the old thing. Everybody loves to talk about themselves. So when I come to this culture, any culture, Japan, Korea, I'm here in Taiwan, America, anywhere in Africa you go, when you start saying things in the mother tongue, in the local language, everybody beams like, yeah, they clap for you, they're happy for you, they're happy that you want to know something about them. They feel appreciated, because people feel very awkward around foreigners, but that's not unusual. Everybody feels awkward around people they don't know, unless you're really one of those outgoing personalities. For most people, you're shy, you're nervous, and so in many cultures you will see that newcomers will see that people might look down when you pass by them, or when you try to ask them a question, they're like, they turn away. It's like, please don't talk, in their mind it's like, please don't talk to me. I hope they're not coming to talk to me, as they see you going toward them with a little map pointing, and they're like, please, I hope they're not coming to me, please. And then you show up, and you're gonna say, you're like, hello, or whatever, whatever language you speak, and they're like, no, and they walk away. It isn't that they don't like you, it's they're awkward and they don't know what to say. And I totally understand that, because I get the same way when a local person, especially an older person, wants to come talk to me, and I know they cannot speak English, and I know they want to speak to me, and they're smiling, and I'm like, I don't know English. I only know English. No, not that I don't know English. I don't know Chinese. I don't know Japanese. What can I do? Hello. And we smile, and they go, and I go. But I know that feeling of, oh my God, they want to talk to me. Oh my God, they want to say something to me. But I don't know what to say. So I can totally understand that. So these are some things to think about. If you're a person of color like myself, just know, no matter where you go, outside of Africa or the Caribbean or other predominantly diverse cultures, and that's true too. If you are a white person going to a predominantly non-Caucasian environment, people will stare at you. Some people will want to touch you. Everybody wants to touch my hair. They ask questions about my hair. They ask questions about my skin. And I answer them willingly because I remember as a child, I grew up in Kenya, and as a child, I would see these white people, and I felt the same way. Like, oh my God, I can see the veins, I can see blood, it's green in there. So, real curiosity, and that's normal too. I mean, we don't have to feel like a sore thumb, although that is what it feels like. But it is not a bad thing. It is not a horrible thing. It's just people being people. Like, that's a new person. I walked into a classroom once, and this child like just did a double take. Wow. And then I always ask the kids, please ask me any questions. And this child shot their hand up and said, why are you so brown? And they said brown. I was like, way to go. And I explained. I said, my mother, and there was grade 2. So I said, my mom and my dad are brown. And he was like, oh, okay. That was it. Like, and after that, it was not an issue anymore. But people look and they ask questions, and those who have Western television, Hollywood, they have certain ideas about who you might be, and it's like, okay, I understand that too. What else would they know about me? And if you hang out with them and if you're open, then they'll see, oh, she's human. Bottom line is, we're all human. So no matter where you go, there's rarely malice in people's actions. Rarely. Some people are just, not good, but you can tell on their face for the most part if they're not going to like you, and unless they're your boss, you can stay away from them. But for the most part, people are curious, awkward, anxious, nervous around you, and things can come out in an odd way. So just bear that in mind when you travel. One more story, I was in Prague one time, and people would take pictures of me. It wasn't not in Prague, in the Czech Republic, inside in the country, and people would just take pictures of me, no questions asked, nothing, just and I'll be like, okay, I feel like paparazzi. But then I realized they've never seen black people, let alone talk to them. And I thought, okay, whatever, snap away. And if I would see them, I'd be like, cheese. And I don't take it seriously. But it's taken a while for me to embrace the fact that no matter where you go, you will experience some of these things. It is not malicious. People don't intend to be mean, and they're just them. They're just curious. And when you're in your homeland, you're powerful. You feel strong. You're not thinking about the nervousness of the foreigner until you're in that position yourself. Then you're like, ooh, that's how it must have felt for that foreigner in my country. So unless you've been in that situation yourself, most people are completely oblivious to what you may be going through. So since you're the one who traveled, it's good to always assume that there is no malice behind most actions. And if there is, just call it what it would be in any other place, mean, and step away from it if you can. Most times I find it's not malicious. Most people are not malicious. And so I hope you have lots and lots of fun on your travel. New homes, embrace them, embrace all the different changes emotionally, and more importantly, just be yourself, be who you are, and you will run into the right circumstances. The right people who need to help you will show up, if you're yourself, and especially if you maintain a positive attitude. Like, how, just stay positive, and you will draw people to yourself. I find that to be true for me, and many people, I'm not the only one, many people who've traveled. So bon voyage, and enjoy your new home. Bye bye.